Annual pass holders, the day is finally here. APs are back. Well, the Magic Key Pass is back, and we've got all the details. In this episode, we're going to cover each of the 4 passes and all they entail, including prices and blockout dates, when passes will be available for sale and how to buy them, a breakdown of which pass might be right for you, plus some other important facts to note such as park hopping, maxpass, and upgrading previously purchased tickets. All that and more coming up next on FreshBaked. Hello again, everybody. Welcome back to FreshBaked. I'm your host, David, and I'm here to break down all of this Magic Key news for you as plainly as possible. And we're going to start by breaking down each of the 4 Magic Keys, starting with the Dream Key. The Dream Key Pass is being sold for $13.99 or $102 per month after a $179 deposit. This answers that question right up front. Will there be monthly payments? Yes, there will be, just like there was before. And just like before, they're going to be available for California residents only. Out-of-state guests who are looking to buy an annual pass, which you can, they have to pay for their pass all in one lump sum. The Dream Key is going to allow up to 6 reservations at one time with no blockout dates. Otherwise, the calendar's wide open, including that 2-week holiday period. I'll note here that this does not mean 6 reservations total or 6 reservations per month even, just 6 reservations at the same time, 6 concurrent reservations. That is to say, let's say you get your pass and you make 6 reservations right away. As soon as you use one of those reservations, that reservation slot becomes available and you can book another reservation for another date in the future. And you can keep doing that. It's a rolling 6 reservation count. The Dream Key also includes parking, which was something that I was wondering if they were going to include these or not. Dream Key does include parking, but it is the only pass that includes parking paid in full. The Dream Key is also a park hopper, as all of these keys, all of these passes are park hoppers, and park hopping again starts at 1 p.m. And then of course there is the usual discounts. In this case for the Dream Key, it's 20% on merchandise and 15% on food and drinks. Next is the Believe Key, and that's going for $9.49, which works out to $65 per month after the $179 deposit. Like the Dream Key, guests can make up to 6 reservations at a time, but there are some blockout dates. A quick scan shows blockouts for, let's see, Saturdays in October, the Thanksgiving weekend, all Saturdays in December, as well as that 2-week Christmas New Year stretch that we talked about before that is not blocked out for the Dream Key. And then the only other notable stretch is a week in April, and then those Saturdays in July. And then the rest is just a mix of occasional weekend dates. Believe pass holders also get a merchandise and food discount, 10% each, and a 50% discount on parking. And then that's it for parking. Any other of the other 2 passes will not have any kind of paid parking. The Enchant Key sells for $6.49. That's $40 per month after the $179 deposit. Reservations limit is lowered to 4 with this pass, plus more blockout dates. All the dates mentioned for the Believe Key, plus pretty much the entire summer. Most of June, all of July, and the first half of August. And then there's also early January, and really a majority of Saturdays throughout the year. Enchant also gets the same 10% discount on food and merchandise. Lastly, the Imagine Key sells for $3.99, which works out to $19 a month after the $179 deposit. This key is available only to Southern California residents and are limited to just 2 reservations at a time. The blockout calendar includes those dates mentioned previously, plus every other Saturday or Sunday not already blocked, plus a ton more. No summer, most of the winter holiday, at least half of fall as well. And again, the same 10% discount for fruit and merchandise. Now, if any of that sounds good to you, you can buy your Dream Key, whichever one you prefer. You can start buying your Dream Key on August 25th at 10 a.m. Pacific. That is per Disney in the initial announcement. As of this recording, there is a separate page on the Disneyland site for Magic Key, and I expect this is probably a good place to start on the 25th if you want to buy a pass, and I'll put a link in the description to this page. So which pass is for you? Well, I think the easiest way to explain this up front is to look back at what passes we had before this: Signature, Deluxe, and the SoCal Select. If you're familiar with those passes, then you'll be familiar with these passes because they're very, very similar. Basically, the Dream Key is the Signature Plus Pass. The Believe Key is the Deluxe Pass. There is no equivalent to the Enchant Pass. It's a fourth I guess they've added a fourth pass where there was only 3 before, if you don't count the Flex Pass, which was an entirely different animal. And then, of course, the Imagine Key is the SoCal Select Pass. But if you want to get a little deeper than that, then that conversation starts with how often you want to go and what days, what time periods are most important to you. For me, I need Saturdays, which means I have to get the Dream Key. If holidays are important to you, again, Dream Key. If you're a weekday visitor, you know, that AP that likes to go after work to get some dinner and enjoy a ride or a show, you could probably get by with the Believe Key. Otherwise, it's all about how often you want to go and then the resultant math. At $13.99, the Dream requires at least 9 visits, assuming you're going on a peak day at $150 per visit. So that's 9 visits to break even. Actually, it's more like 8 if you factor in the free parking, which after 8 visits, you will have saved $200, and that pays for, you know, 1 more visit. If you're getting a park hopper for the Dream Key, that number is more like 7 if you again assume peak day at $200 per ticket. For the Believe Pass, the minimum visit number is around 6 per year if we assume $150 per ticket, or 5 visits if we assume $200 per ticket. Enchant, meanwhile, is 5 visits at $150 or 4 visits at $200, and then Imagine is 3 visits at $150 or 2 at the $200 park hopper. And when I say visits, I'm talking about the minimum number of visits to break even. Anything above that visit count that I just gave would be considered, you know, like a free ticket, a free visit. It's bonus. So that's, you know, a fair amount of math to process. So let me break it down or simplify it a little bit more. The less frequent you plan on going, or the less frequently that you want to go, then the lower tier pass you need to get. But if you're trying to go 10, 15, 20 times a year, or if you're trying to go, like I said, during days that are exclusive, then you probably have to lean towards the Dream Key. Now, that's not to say that you can't go 20 or 30 times per year on Enchant or Believe. You can. They just have to be the days that are available. You've got more blockout days. Finally, if you're wondering if these are a good value or not, is this more expensive than the previous pass? The answer plainly is no. No, they're not more expensive. Not at all, actually. In fact, one could argue that they could be higher even. The Dream Key sells for $13.99. The Signature Plus Pass in 2020 sold for $14.50. So it's actually less. And they actually should be higher if you assume that Disney would have raised ticket prices in February, as is their custom. If there were no shutdown in 2021, Disney would have raised their prices as they customarily do. Typically, that price increase was in the $100 range. So today, if we were to have a Signature Plus Pass, it would likely have sold for around $15.50. That's my guess. Maybe $1,500. So now we're $100 cheaper than what it should be, or what it was, or what it could have been. Now, I do understand that there's a trade. It's not like they're just giving us a cheaper price. Reservations, obviously. There's a limit on how many reservations we can hold, and there's no max pass. One could actually argue that the more logical comparison might be to the Flex Pass, because it had an unlimited calendar. And that sold for $6.99. Now we're talking, there's a huge price difference there, from $13.99 to $6.99. But the Flex Pass didn't include parking. And at $25 a pop, if you go just 10 times a year, that's $250. That makes the Flex Pass now $950. If you go 20 times a year, which is not out of the stretch of imagination for most people who are trying to buy the Signature Plus Pass or the Dream Pass, the Dream Key, now that's the $500 a year. So now that price went from $6.99 to $11.99, and we're pretty much on a almost level playing field, almost. So everything considered, and by that I mean what some of the worst case scenarios might have been, this is a pretty good deal. I believe making reservations will be easier than expected, and I think MaxPass, well, I feel like Disney has plans outside of the annual pass or Dream Key program for Fast Pass and Max Pass, i.e. paid Fast Passes. So I feel like that's never going to be a part of the annual pass thing, and it probably would have been taken out of the annual pass if it were Signature Plus. It would have been taken out of that program on a long enough timeline. So the two would have caught up. Okay, with those basics out of the way, let's talk about a few more of the additional items that are available for the Dream Key pass holders. On the Magic Key website, the link in the description, there are additional benefits mentioned. First, there's a Magic Key Terrace, a reimagined reservation-based lounge just for Magic Key holders and their friends and family. I have no idea what this is. I'm not even sure if it's an actual physical place. It's probably some kind of digital lounge. Magic Key Holder Month, that is a month-long celebration of Magic Key holders. Sounds a lot like AP Days. The usual array of exclusive events and collectibles. First access opportunities, which sounds to be centered mostly around special merchandise events, which again is typical for annual pass holders. Looks like the Magic Key exclusive popcorn buckets and sippers are back. Photo pass opportunities. Yes, but now that I look, I didn't see if Photo Pass is included in the annual pass. I'll have to check up on this. I looked on the website elsewhere, and I didn't see Photo Pass mentioned other than this particular case. I didn't see Photo Pass mentioned as part of the Dream Key package, so I'll follow up on that. And finally, this is something interesting for those of you who are looking to get a Dream Key right away. Disney is offering those who get a pass within the first 66 days, they'll get a special welcome package that includes unique items like a branded pin, a button, magnet, and more. And something will be waiting for key holders at the Starcade in Tomorrowland starting September 1st. They mentioned a charging station, which is something that every modern guest is looking for. I mean, this really does sound a lot like the old AP program, including all of those little benefits that I talked about. That's kind of standard stuff that you would have seen for annual pass holders. So the Dream Key plan, the Dream Key program is exceptionally similar to the annual pass holder program in so many ways. We have only to accept reservations, which I know is a huge drag, especially for a lot of you out there. You see reservations as a terrible thing and sort of the antithesis of what an annual pass holder was. But we need only endure that part of it and then sort of finesse the calendar a little bit to maximize how many days we can go, having been able only to use 6 reservations or 4 in some cases, or 2 actually, depending on which pass you have. Otherwise, I mean, there is very little difference from my perspective. We could talk about how the park isn't quite where it should be, for the price, which is a conversation that can be had. There are still things missing, World of Color, parades, that, Fantasmic, all that. But on a time, the timeline will catch up with that. We will be having those things back within, a certain amount of time soon, really. The parades are going to be back soon, I think. The only thing we're going to be really waiting for is Fantasmic and World of Color, and that's going to happen in January, I believe. But I feel like that is when you're going to be getting all that bang for your buck. Everything will be online by then. That's my guess, my opinion. So let's now wrap up with some quick notes. All passes require reservations. There is no pass that does not require reservations. It is my expectation, unless we hear otherwise between now and August 25th, that the reservation system will be just like it is now. No different. The pass is for 1 full year, and that year starts on the first day that you go through a turnstile, not a year from the day that you purchase the annual pass. If you have a previously purchased ticket that hasn't been used, you can apply the cost of that ticket towards the purchase of a Dream Key. Now, it's my understanding that Disney's going to ask you to do it on the day of your visit. Go to the park, pass through the turnstile, get into the park, then come back out, go to one of the ticket booths, upgrade your ticket to an annual pass. They do this to ensure that you don't lose your reservation for that day that you want to go. Now, one thing that I haven't been able to verify yet and I'm working on is what about people who have a multi-day ticket or who purchased that 3-day SoCal pass, or basically any combination where anybody who owns more than one ticket. Can you apply all of those or just one ticket toward the purchase of a pass? I'm looking into that. There is a no-show policy that you should be aware of, much like the FlexPass did. That is, if you make a reservation and then don't go to the park, do that 3 times in 90 days and you will be blocked from making any reservations at all for 30 days. You have until 11:59 p.m. the night before your reservation date to cancel. So that's plenty of time. For those guests who are looking to do something like a 10-day vacation at the park, I'm not sure how Disney's going to address this. By that I mean you can only make 6 reservations at a time, max. That's if you have a Dream Key or a Believe Key. So if you can only make 6 reservations at a time, what about those other 4 days? I would assume that Disney's either going to make you buy 4 separate tickets for those days, or you're going to have to roll the dice and make new reservations while you're visiting, while you're at the park, experiencing those first 6 days. Otherwise, I feel like maybe you should contact, I mean, if you're concerned about this, contact Disney directly, get the word from them. But I will try to do some recon on that myself in the meantime. Lastly, it does sound like sales may be limited. Per the website, pass types are limited in quantity and passes may no longer be available for purchase and or renewal at any time. Now, this is just a warning. This doesn't mean that they will limit the sales. It doesn't mean that they are not going to let you renew, but they're saying that only they're reserving that right to do that just in case. And by just in case, I mean if capacity restrictions are put upon them. Right now, there aren't any. The state of California is wide open. The limitations that are happening now are self-imposed. Disney's doing that on their own. But I'm expecting capacity to increase now that they're selling annual passes. You can only assume that. It has to be the case. Otherwise, I don't know what the park would look like if they're trying to run 50% capacity with annual pass holders. But I digress. What they're saying is if something should happen where they have to take that back, then they're going to reserve that right. And that, I hope, covers everything. If there's anything that we didn't cover, though, or if there's a question that you had that I didn't answer, please do drop a comment below. Ask us that question, and I will try to answer it for you. Otherwise, follow us on Instagram at _FreshBaked and on Twitter at FreshBakedDisney, that's Fresh with no E, and on TikTok at FreshBakedDisney. And if you enjoy our show and you want to show your support, please do consider joining our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/FreshBaked. And that's it, guys. Until next time, we love you very much. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked